This is Bucket Talk, a weekly podcast for people who work in the trades and construction that aren't just trying to survive, but have the ambition and desire to thrive. The opportunity in the trades and construction is absolutely ridiculous right now. So if you're hungry, it's time to eat. We discuss what it takes to rise from the bottom to the top with people who are well on their way and roll up their sleeves every single day.
All right, on this episode of Bucket Talk, we have Morgan Tayek of at Captain Planks, and Morgan is a maker in the makerspace. Welcome, Morgan.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Awesome. So, we've done some stuff in the past together, a giveaway. You have phenomenal woodworking skills, not to mention good taste in music.
Thank you.
So we enjoy a lot of your reels, and you do some pretty amazing work, but clearly you had a journey to get here, and we'd love to dive into that. So go back as far as you want. I'd love to get to know Morgan, from an early stage all the way up to now, how you got your start, what made you get into woodworking, and, feel free to let us know.
Cool. So I'll go way back. I love these stories. I've always had pretty interesting, fun jobs. I've worked for like a racing school, so we did a lot of stock car racing experiences, like formula racing experiences. We had Porsches, we had Corvettes. Lots of fun doing that. I took an interest in cosmetology for a while. I thought I wanted to do hair. Turned out I did not want to do that. So I'm 32, and when I was 18, I started working. I did some work in the cannabis industry in California, and it wasn't fully legal yet. And I loved it. I thrived at it. I did really well with it. I worked in the industry for about 10 years, and then it went bad. It went sour right before it went legal, and I decided I wanted to get out. So I was always creative, always artistic, always knew I wanted to do something, but I couldn't paint like my family could. My mother, my grandmother, some people on my dad's side, all very artistic, but they could paint. They could look at a blank canvas and really bring it to life. And I couldn't do that. It like frustrated the hell out of me because I'm like, what the fuck? I come from a long line of artists. I should be able to do this, but I couldn't do it. And it made me so mad. So I just started experimenting with other things. I kind of just played with in my head the idea of different mediums, and wood always intrigued me. Furniture, anything, the way that it was built, even though I don't make furniture, woodworking, the precision, all of it just intrigued me. And I'm terrible with math, and I'm not the most precise woodworker, but what I do is more art driven. It's more, I can take a lot of scraps, a lot of pieces, and I can make them fit. Whereas a lot of other woodworkers need specific materials. They need to do very specific math to achieve what they're looking for. Mine, I can kind of manipulate it, hand cut it, squeeze it in, make it fit. So I really found my niche, and I started out carving hair sticks, whittling them by hand. Loved that. Then I got a little more tools. I started making yard games. I made giant dice, yard Yahtzee, Jenga. Then I made little vinyl signs, painted signs. Then I found the scroll saw, and once I found the scroll saw, it was over after that. I gave myself about 8 months of learning, and I went full throttle, started completely scrolling everything that I do. And then I did that for about a year and a half, and then I went full time for it. And I've done that now 3.5 years.
So is the scroll saw something that you like jump into, or is that a tool you work up to? I've actually personally never used one. I've used all types of saws, but that is one. Is that something that is something that you can just go out and buy and ding around with it and then get proficient in it, or is it you need to have a basic understanding of other types of tools before you can hop on that and start playing around?
No, I think that with any tool, how do I say it? I mean, with any tool, you should always be safe. You should always, take the necessary precautions, use a variety of things, try different things, but always be safe. I think a scroll saw is
Mm-hmm.
a very easy one though, to just jump right into for sure. It's not too advanced, and it's one in its own, where there's not really another saw like that aside from a bandsaw, which is more bite, and you can't get the same corners or you're not going to get the same detail from a bandsaw that you're going to get
Right.
with a scroll saw. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think a scroll saw is something that anybody can really buy and be proficient in. I think that it's an amazing tool. It really unlocks a level of creativity. I feel like it's very limitless. It adds to my laser. It adds to everything else that I do. When you add something scrolled to a piece, I feel like it only amplifies it because of the detail that you can achieve with that.
Awesome. Awesome. So I do want to ask a question only because you brought it up,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm super intrigued by it as I venture into new trades. Obviously, cosmetology is a trade. It's taught in trade schools. But I kind of wanted to get and as comfortable as you want to be, a little bit into the cannabis industry. That is
Yeah.
absolutely intriguing. It's legal here in Maine. It's legal in Mass. Obviously legal in California,
Yeah.
Washington, and Oregon. And
Yeah.
then
Oregon as well. Yeah.
so, what was some of the issues that you had then that you feel are resolved now? And would you recommend getting into that level of work or that craft now, knowing that it's it's safer, it's a little bit more regulated, I guess, on a state level anyway. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
remember hearing the stories of them saying like we can only deal in cash because banks won't let us use it. So like there was like that unsafe aspect
Yeah.
of it. But then, you still have, I mean, up here they just had a bust because we're close to the border. So Border Patrol pulled over a local guy, and because they're federal agents, they ended up getting arrested for having plants, even though
Yeah.
they were legal to do so in the state. But because it was federal agents and they had jurisdiction,
Mm-hmm.
these guys literally got screwed.
Yeah.
But yeah, what was some of the reasons? Like, would you have stayed in it if it was legal at the time?
Well, I did. I was still up until I left California.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I would say just before I left. So maybe up until 9, 10 months ago, I was still working in the industry. I still did part-time work on the side, but it was always remote. I never really had to do anything that I showed up for too much. Really simple work. But I've always maintained my connections. I've always worked in the industry. So I've worked in both the black market and the legal industry.
Mm-hmm.
I would say now, I don't know. I could be a bias. This could be just, I have a distaste for and I don't want this to reflect poorly on me,
No,
but
no, no. I mean, everybody has their
I have
opinion.
a distaste for the legal market only because they make it impossible, in California at least, they make it impossible for the small business owners to achieve anything. Now, the mom and pop shops, the people who want to have one to two shops, everybody who is thriving is funded by a corporate entity. So it's very, very big now. Like even Marlboro is supposed to be coming out with like this whole cannabis thing, and all these huge, huge corporations are taking over, and it's so oversaturated that it makes me sad from a small business point of view. So I do recommend people get into it, and I encourage it because I think it's such a booming industry, and I think it helps so many people. And I
Yeah.
really do. I really do. And I know it's controversial and there's back and forth arguments, and I can see both sides all day. I see how like anything, it can
See,
become demonized or
I'm
it
going
can
to be
become bad,
controversial.
but
I'm going to be controversial with my statement. Is it really controversial or is it generational? Because
I
I
I
mean,
do agree. Yeah.
I'll I'll throw it out
Yes.
there. I may or may not partake with my father every now and again up here on the farm. So it's like, and then realizing that my dad has been doing it for XYZ, and I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like essentially getting out of your way. But to your point, again, up here in Maine, it's a weird market too, because we have medical shops
Mhm.
and we have rec shops, and neither of them are the same. So you can't go purchase rec from a medical,
Mhm.
and you can't, and vice versa. And I'm like, this doesn't make sense at all. It's
See,
like,
that's very interesting to me too, because in California, there's really no, at least in Los Angeles where I was, there was no
yeah,
separation. Like there really wasn't.
yeah,
Here in Oregon, there is. So it's the same shops, but there's two prices on each price tag, different color. And the colors
oh,
correspond with
whether you
medical
got the
or
tip card or
recreational.
not.
Yeah. And medical is much cheaper than the recreational. And I'd never seen that before. So the way it is in Maine, I haven't seen either, because LA, it's all just like one.
Yeah.
You just go in.
I happen to be in one of my classes for college, and he was from California, and he was part of their marketing department, and he's like, you're like, it's huge,
Hmm.
like we're a big company. And I don't know, it's just interesting, even hearing now on I mean, it didn't take long for colleges to capitalize on it.
Hmm.
They have the cultivation degree, so the actual get your hands dirty, clipping buds and stuff, and then you have the business side. So now they got cannabis degrees, and I'm
Hmm.
just like, that didn't take long, did it?
You can go to school
So,
for consulting now too, and you can start a very you can charge a few $100s an hour just to do cannabis consulting. Excuse me, I want my blanket. Cannabis consulting for other companies. So, say if you were a cultivator or an extraction artist or whatever it may be, you can charge $400 or $500 an hour, and you can go and
I
consult.
like that, extraction artist.
Yeah,
Wow, we've come a long way.
we
We
really
have come
have.
a long my days as a kid was just like, I don't know,
Yeah.
it's still to this day, you're like looking over your shoulder. It's like it's a non-issue.
Hmm.
It's a non-issue anymore. um I don't know. I mean, nowadays, I said it to a few of my friends. I don't smell cigarette smoke anymore,
Hmm.
and really anywhere, but the overwhelming smell like everybody smoking,
Everywhere,
everybody smoking,
everywhere.
everywhere.
It's crazy.
So, yeah, it's interesting. So back to our regular scheduled program. Let's get into the wood side of things. So, what's interesting is that your family has this artistic background.
Hmm.
Clearly, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. You just need to define that outlet. You happen across the scroll saw and woodworking. Who was your inspiration for actually, like, who taught you, or how did you learn, or were you just like, you had a DIY project, whether it was like a birdhouse or something, and you're like, then it kind of snowballed from there. Was it something like, was there a pivotal moment, or was it just?
So, one of my friends that I connected with through Instagram, Christina, and my friend Jocelyn Elise Designs, and
Mhm.
Christina Naturally Made by Hand. Both of them scrolled, like, I think for maybe a year or two before I did. And
Yep.
both of them very, very talented, incredible artists, and they were a big inspiration to me. Mostly self-taught though, other than tips or things, do this would be easier, or, get multiple signs this way, do that. And then as I built the community, and as I, you know, connected with people through Instagram, I kind of made more friends in the scrolling community and drafted
Yep.
inspiration from everybody a little bit. One thing I've always prided myself on is I like the off the wall, or I guess for lack of a better term, like weird or edgier stuff. You won't always see a lot of super girly or pretty signs for me. While I do them and I love them, I have a hard time sharing them, and not for any reason in particular. I really love the work that excites me is the stuff that's a little different than what you see out there. So that's why I don't share as often either. I share about 30%
Yeah.
of the work that I actually make, because if it's a floral sign or a nursery sign or something that looks repetitive to my portfolio, I don't find the need to share it. I just want to get it out. And then I share what I'm excited for, or new stuff, or something I'm proud of, or whatever it may be.
There's the business side, and then there's the absolute like love for what you're doing. I mean, as I'm looking, your background, the graffiti art, like that's amazing.
That's awesome, right?
That's a great picture.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, you can sense the edginess too. I mean, I'm a huge Corn fan, and having you when you
Yeah, they're
you
good.
had
They're
a
great.
Corn, yeah, dude, I was like, not only am I vibing to some scrolling, but I'm also loving the music
Yeah.
selection. So,
Thank you. Thank
yeah,
you.
no, I mean, you can definitely sense that in what you do, and that's pretty amazing. And you know, I guess if anybody out there knows, like some of the best artists out there, some of the best craftsmen, tradesmen, and women, um, are ones that really are passionate about their work
Mm-hmm.
and really put their heart and soul, blood, sweat, and tears. So you know, again, you take pride in your work. You bring a new meaning to scrolling on Instagram. Uh,
Hey, that took
yeah,
me longer than I'm proud to say.
I was like, there we go with the dad
I'm all,
jokes
there
again.
it is. There it is. I got it.
but no, I think it's great. So what's the next step for you? I mean, 3.5 years,
Mm-hmm.
you know, just doing it, grinding it out.
Yeah.
Is there plans to take on new people? Is there plans to do like really high end art pieces,
Mm-hmm.
galleries?
Yeah.
What's next for Morgan? I would love for you to unleash this.
Yeah. No, so next, that's another reason that I'm so excited about this remote work that I'm doing right now, because I'm able to kind of step back and look at captain's planks as my passion again, and not just my livelihood.
Yeah.
While it's both, I always want to keep that fire lit, right? I always want to keep the creativity flowing. And if I'm being totally honest, I haven't spoke about any of my personal life in the last year and a half, and don't know when I will, but things have just taken a wild turn, like life does to
Yeah.
all of us, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like I've been on autopilot, and I've been proud of my work, but I haven't been completely fully immersed in it. I've just been writing that thin line of like, all right, I'm production. I'm going to get this
Yeah,
out.
getting orders done.
And then I don't even share it. I don't have photos of it. I didn't, whatever it may be. So I have like 6 or 7 signs right now that all the content's backlogged. I just need to edit it, share it, get the content that I'm very, very, very proud of. And they're more in the direction that I want to go. But I've been working on redoing my website, restructuring my business, making a new game plan. I want some automated stuff that the laser can handle, so that when I am doing this remote work, it's a bit easier. And I've closed off my customs until after summer. So my wait list right now is about 8 months, and it was about 11 months. So I finally started getting caught up. Still more behind than I want to be, but I'm grateful for the work that I have lined up, and I needed to cut them off. So the goal is to catch up on all of that, get that all done, pushed out, and reformat the direction I go with my customs. I want to work mainly with hardwoods now. I want to phase out of paint completely, kind of bring a new style and element to my art. I want to start doing some metal work. I want to learn welding. So I have a lot of plans, a lot of new directions I want to try and go in the next year. And
Yeah.
this remote work that I'm doing, even though Captain's Planks isn't full time right now, it's going to allow me to do that, to step back and kind of take the time I need to reformat my business in a way that I know is really going to work for me longevity wise, and put that passion back into me that I need, because it's the autopilot just doesn't feel the same, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
no, I mean, I totally agree, and I've had podcasts with actually Lee Oman, Regal Street Woodshop. He
Yeah.
brought it up. Electrician by trade, and then does all his carpentry work outside of it. His wife runs a laser, and
Mm-hmm.
everybody's happy. And then I talked to him about like, hey, what's your next step? And he's like, this is it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to go more than this because then I'm going to lose the love for it. And it was kind of refreshing because like as I asked
Excuse
that
me.
question, and there's no wrong answer, but
Right.
like for some people their day job is their day job, and this is an outlet. This is a way to unwind,
Yeah.
relieve stress, whatever it may be. And that when you incur more orders, more demand,
Mm-hmm.
more people, then the stress comes on that you were trying to relieve. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So, no, I absolutely, it's crazy. And then the other thing I want to bring up: are you going to Makers Camp by any way?
I've wanted to, and I may, especially if I make my way back to the Nashville area, try
Yep.
and skedaddle up that way.
So
But
highly recommend it.
yeah.
I went for the first time last year, um, and I weld. I was more in automotive restoration and
Mm-hmm.
and mechanics and stuff like that. So like every now and again I'd weld an art piece. Like my wife would see something on Pinterest and like, you can't do that, and I'd come home with like a welded flower and I was like, see, I can
Yeah.
do that, but it
Watch me.
took me way more time than it should have, and and probably not as pretty, but I was like, see, I can do that. But anyway, so I was there, and just the maker community is just unbelievable. Every time I get on and talk about makers, it's like it's a welcoming community. I mean, we have blacksmiths to
Mm-hmm.
welders to all types of woodworking, epoxy. Now, I mean, that has taken the makerspace
Yeah.
by trade or by storm. I mean, Total Boat, hats off to you. Like just absolutely found a new avenue for making it work.
Really. Yeah.
um but what was interesting is like, when we brought the team up, they were now learning to weld with Lincoln. um our our video guy Dylan, he's out there forging in the in the blacksmith shop, and I was like, and it was amazing. It was like, it was cool. So I highly recommend it. It's a great time. It's Columbus Day weekend. um I if I don't go as a Brunt entity, I would absolutely go as a personal entity. It is amazing.
Yeah.
So
Makers Camp is the
I
one
would
that
highly recommend it.
that's the one that I think that I would want to go to the most. I'm not a big workbench con person. Nothing against it. It just doesn't seem like the event that I would have
Yeah.
fun at. But Maker Camp seems like a great time. So
Yeah, I didn't make it there. I can't really speak to it.
yeah, yeah.
I've had people go,
A
and
lot of people have a great
some have had
time.
mixed feelings,
Yes, and I know some
but
who have not. But
yeah,
neither here nor there. I think Maker Camp sounds a lot more fun.
100%. And only because I've been. So
Yeah.
that's what is fun. But so I saw so just to get back on topic, I had seen a creator who I don't know his name, but he did a lot of pieces for um like the Bulls or sports teams or whatever. But essentially, he takes all different types of wood and makes a mural out of it using the colors and the grains, the natural colors and the natural grains of the wood. So it's almost like a mosaic,
Hmm.
right? And it's not like in the abstract where you're like, is that a face? It was literally like a depiction, like the guys do with the Rubik's cubes nowadays, which is amazing in its own
Yeah.
right. But yeah, he does these pieces that are portrait pieces done
Hmm.
by all different types of woods from all over the world and using their natural colors. Is that kind of not the mosaic piece, but is that kind of what you want to get into? Is using the natural grains, the natural colors instead of using paint?
Yeah, so the technique you're referring to, actually, if what you're describing is what I'm thinking, is intarsia, and it's where people essentially you're puzzling together
Mm-hmm.
pieces of hardwood, and you're using the natural grain, and you're manipulating the orientation and shaping it and giving it dimension, and then piecing it all together like a puzzle, and
Yep.
you get your image, whatever it may be, whether it be a person's face, an animal, a shoe. But yes, that is what I want to do. And funny that you mentioned that, because I just did that. One of the newest things on my feed is that big walnut mountain range that I did. That's like 5 feet by 2 feet. And I did just that. I used all hardwoods. I pieced it together, going different directions, manipulated that. I shaped everything. I haven't shared the finished piece yet because it's still in Tennessee and it needs to go to North Carolina. And I did not get enough content before leaving because I suck at my job some days, man. So it's still there, and Andrew can get it. So he'll be sending me that soon, and I will be getting out some content of that. But that is one of my most
Awesome.
recent signs that I'm most proud of, and it is the direction I'd like to go. Yes.
Yeah. No, and that's cool. And you bring up Andrew. He's been an awesome collaborator. He very knowledgeable in the woodworking industry as well. Got to give a shout out to Cold Brew.
Yeah.
Um, but 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 at the same time, are you learning a lot from him? And like, he's got a different technique. He's more furniture and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And is he learning from you? You learning from him? Like, this is a cool collaboration.
Yeah. So that's such a cool question because it's my favorite thing, and I probably talk about it multiple times a week to him. Like I kid you not. I I am constantly learning from that man. I mean, he is insanely talented, but
Yeah.
insanely precise. His attention to detail is just unparalleled, unmatched. Like, and the same, I like to think the same with me and my work. And, I've taught him a lot about scrolling. I've taught him a lot about paint. I've taught him a lot about the finish side of the paint side of finishing, whereas he's taught me a lot about the hardwood finishing. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it was working there was huge. I used tools I haven't got my hands on and I don't have in my shop. I really learned a lot about, like you said, I always say we're both artists, but I am more of that like artistic, like I said in the beginning, I manipulate it and force it to fit. He's the precision woodworker. And
Hmm.
that is a side of woodworking that fascinates me because it's never been my strong suit, but I love it. It's an art form that I love. Obviously, it's
Yeah.
wood. So yeah, I like to say we have both equally learned from each other. I'm constantly learning from him. I mean, even when he's not deliberately teaching me, I'm just absorbing because his brain works out loud, and I love people like
Yeah.
that. I love people who are in the zone, but they're verbal, or you can see what they're doing, or and so being around him, working on FaceTime, whatever it may be, I am always learning from him. It's really cool for our worlds to come together, but we don't step on each other's toes because we do different things.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was interesting because there was a point in my career in the automotive industry that I had maxed out my capabilities at a mom and pop, so a small mom and pop garage, and the shop foreman had since moved on, and he was 50 something years old,
Mm-hmm.
and I had taken his position. But I'm 30 something years old at the time, and I'm like, as like proud as I am to be in this position, and as capable as I am to be here, I also don't want to stunt my growth.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'm 30 something years old and I'm the top dog in this position, like not in the whole ecosystem, because I'm sure somebody out there will be like, hey, you don't know what you're talking about. But anyway,
Everyone thinks that.
I know, right? So, but for me, I was scared because I'm a visual learner. I'm one that can pick up on what people are doing. I'm not somebody that's gonna hit the textbooks
Mm-hmm.
and be able to watch videos and really like get my next level of direction. Like
Yeah.
I need to almost see it in action, be a part of it, and then no problem, I'm ready to go, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also confidence too, like the confidence that somebody that's tenured like that has when it comes to a situation. And you know, you're overthinking it, they simplify it, they're like, screwdriver doing things out. You're like, how'd you do that? And I don't know. Long story short, is that it's good to see that you be at the top of your game, and then you find somebody else to be able to push you that much further, expand your
Mm-hmm.
skills, expand your knowledge base, and then you do the same. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
your spray painting. I mean, you've had to have tagged something, a bridge, an underpass, something in your life. With the way you rattle them cans, like you know what you're doing. You know what you're
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
Like there was a mask at some point in time. You're on like the I-95 on the
Thanks.
backside of something.
That's great. It's the painting, and I'm from LA. That's what it is.
Yeah, sure.
No, I was laughing when you were describing all of that, because you were talking about, oh, you're over there with a screwdriver and somebody who's seasoned and he can teach you a lot and all of this, and it's so true, because it's both of us. Like I like to think that he saves me time while I make him step back and enjoy time. So, I slow him down. Hey man, like you need to stop asking me what my next step is, because I want to sit here and I want to stare at this for another 20 minutes. And you're going to either watch me stare at this or go do something else, because I need to do this. And this is like an artistic approach right now, right? But then I'm actually physically doing something in woodworking. And he was like, hold on, let me save you 20 minutes, because I don't know why you're doing this. Like we are still with the dinosaurs, and I'm over here like making it harder. I have an affinity for making anything I can as hard as absolute possible. Like if it could take me an hour, I'm going to find a way to take 3. I'm going to. I am so bad at that. So he constantly, I mean, he helps me save time, but I like to think like, hey, I slow you down a little bit and like remind you to take in some of the good parts.
So I usually ask the question like, what's your next hurdle? But it sounds like that's a TBD.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like there's going to be an unveiling. So more to come with Morgan. I won't spoil the surprise. Usually I ask for exclusivity, like, hey, you can launch it on here, but we'll pass that. You can launch it on your channel.
Oh yeah, there's some
But
big
if you were
changes.
to,
Big changes coming.
well, I don't want to ruin it, but yeah, no. So one of the things is like another question I like to ask is, I guess along the hurdle lines is like, what's a big hurdle, and how did you overcome actually making that jump from like having a full-time job outside of this, and then making this your full-time job, but also being able to like recognize the signs of like, hey, I need to pick up something a little extra, make things work. And it seems like the way you talk about it, it seems like it's cohesive and calculated. Maybe it's a little more chaotic, off screen. But
Yeah.
how do you manage that ebbs and flows and make it work for you?
You got good questions, man. You got good questions. Um, So I think that's a mental battle, because I have had my moments of feeling like, oh, dang, this sucks. Like I feel a little defeated going back to work, right? But instead of thinking of any of it in a negative light, which it's really not, it's an opportunity for growth. So I had some big changes in the last year. My life kind of switched direction. I have stuff that I'm dealing with back in California still, but whatever. So I'm doing my best to enjoy what I have right now and
Yeah.
rebuild what I have right now. And my business is the one thing that I've managed to hold on to, and I always will hold on to it. It means the world to me. I love what I do. So this is just another opportunity for growth. I see it as I'm at my max with production. I'm not in a position that I want to hire an employee, or I can hire an employee. And my wait list is maxed out. So
Yeah.
by doing this, I'm going to catch up on work. My art's going to be better. My attitude's going to be better. My mindset's going to be better. My relationships, my friendships, everything's going to be better. So I think that those like ebbs and flows, that's just natural. That's a natural part of life.
Yeah.
I didn't come into this going full time thinking, all right, man, I'm going to retire myself woodworking. Yes, that is the goal, but you have to be ready for adjustments. There could be anything. I'm, like I said, 32 years old. I could have a kid. Something can happen in life. I could end up changing direction completely, where
Yeah.
now I need to be okay in my mind with whatever change is involved. So right now, this is, I'm sacrificing my time for the sake of accountability and to restructure my business and to be able to take myself and my business and take myself to places that I wouldn't have been able to do if I was just hustling for that next dollar and, extending that wait list out and adding the stress and doing all of that.
So for me, a lot of people ask me, were you scared? Were you scared to start your own business? Were you scared to make that jump? I mean, we have a farm, we have hundreds and probably $1 million in liabilities, right? We have riders, we have horses, we have you name it, right? I mean, anything can happen. Anything can happen at any moment in time. Like, to think about it is almost nauseating,
Mm-hmm.
right? So people say, are you scared? And I think the question is more, I'm uncomfortable, and I think the being uncomfortable makes me strive and make things more buttoned up. If I was scared, I don't think I would have done it.
Yes.
So uh,
Yes.
I think there's a lot of misconceptions on like the difference between scared and then just taking the jump and being uncomfortable. Yeah, I'm freaking uncomfortable, but um like I also want this, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is what I want to do. This is so scared. No, I'm more excited, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm in a phase in my life where, I mean, we're a 2-year-old business now. My farm and everything like that, and like most businesses fail within the first 2 years, and now it's, you know, who knows, recession, money,
Mm-hmm.
this, all that stuff. Like, are people gonna spend money on horses? Like, costs of goods go up, everything. So I think keeping my head in the weeds sometimes
Mm-hmm.
and not going up and like looking
Yeah.
around is sometimes better. It's like, just keep your eye on like day-to-day tasks. But yeah, I mean, are you excited for the new phase? Are you uncomfortable? Are you scared?
I
Um,
am all of the above. I'm not scared. Not scared. Never scared, because if I get scared, this sounds so corny, man. It sounds so corny to say out loud. But if I get scared, I just remind myself, no matter what happens, no matter what kind of shit show anything turns into, the world keeps spinning. Your heart keeps beating. You're alive. You're alive. You're alive. That circumstance, you want to be grateful for that or not, that's up to you. Everybody's different. I personally happy, very happy. I'm here, I'm alive, but my heart keeps beating, the world's still spinning, everything's fine. I have a roof over my head, I have food on my table. Not scared. Not scared. Everything else, yes, I'm uncomfortable, but I think that a key part of everything in life, whether it be relationships, work, art, anything, you got to be comfortable with getting uncomfortable. Really, you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. It's just that's in anything. in communication, in love, in life, and stress and setbacks and whatever it is. You got to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. So this is scary.
Write that down. Write it down.
Write it
Get
down.
that tattoo for all you young people. Just like, get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Go get it.
That's the key to success right there.
Yeah. So it's just, it is a little uncomfortable, the adjustment.
100%.
Like when I want to, it's the silliest shit too. It's like when I want to go to the grocery store and it's noon or something, you know, like I'm like, oh yeah, I can do that. I'm like, oh no, you can't. Monday through Friday, you can't do that. You can't go to the grocery store at that time, right? You know, those.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah, those moments where I'm like,
My wife does not adhere to those rules. She's like, no, go to the grocery store. But she's one that'll work with the horses until 2 a.m.
Yeah,
so it's like
there's that too.
she doesn't have that balance, and it's just a revolving clock.
Yeah,
it's like
and
it's 24 hours a day, 7 days.
See, and this what I'm doing remotely right now. I'm basically troubleshooting people's units within their homes.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I can do that late at night and still do my job. So for me, no grocery store at noon for now. And those are the stupid, uncomfortable moments that I just am dealing with. Where I'm like, all right, the freedom. You don't have the freedom, but it's going to be okay because you can still have those bad days and focus on yourself at the end of the day, focus on your business at the end of the day, and you still have something coming in where there's no pressure on yourself. And that's what I wanted to really alleviate, was the pressure. I wanted to do something that was going to take the pressure off of my passion.
You're like an onion. There's so many layers to you right now. Like, I didn't even realize that what I was unpacking when I asked you to be on the show. I mean, from troubleshooting units to the cannabis industry to, I mean, like, are you a volunteer firefighter too? Like, jeez.
I swear, I don't know. Sometimes I think about it. I'm like, what the fuck life have you lived? And then I worked right before I went full-time woodworking. So I quit the cannabis industry, bought all my tools, didn't know how to use them, watched YouTube to learn how to use most of them, got inspiration on
YouTube warrior.
Yeah, got inspiration on scrolling from some of my friends, the 2 I told you about. And then I went to work for a little bit at a law firm for a couple of years. And I did like medical records and stuff at the law firm. So it's very odd. Yeah, very weird layers, just very, very weird layers. I've never had a normal like serving or, you know, I just, and probably would have been good for me. But the jobs that I did have built a lot of character and allowed me and gave me the skills and equipped me to be able to run my own business and do what I've done for 3 years too. So.
If you can't get hired out there and you're looking for a job, Morgan will give you tips on how to get any job in any industry because she is a pro. No, that's awesome. I mean, you're a jack of all trades. I mean, I think that that's amazing. It's a lot of people don't realize that it's showing up on time. It's being trustworthy. It's the willingness to work. And that was kind of, again, the thesis for Bucket Talk is like, a lot of times you don't need schooling. You don't need this. You don't need that to get a job in the trades. You just need to go inquire, say, how do I be a part of this? And as long as everybody gets a good feeling about you, and that's usually first impression, a lot of times they'll go the extra mile just to get you in the door. Hey, you want to do part-time work? You want to sweep the shop? You want to do this? Like, there's always a position for somebody who wants to do it. And, I mean, it's amazing. Like, you don't have to come in with this monster resume and say, I did all this, whatever. If you really want to get in the trades, just go to a business that you are interested in.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, nobody asks for job applications anymore. I don't even think they have paper forms anymore. So.
No, and I think a lot of people nowadays really underestimate the value in just being upfront with someone. Like, you know, we live in such an age of information and everybody needs to know everything and has to know everything and have all the fucking answers and whatever it may be. And you know, just you want to start something, you want to go somewhere, you want a job somewhere you've never been before. You just let them know that you're eager, you're willing to learn, and that you want to be in a position at a place somewhere that you can ask questions, because questions are a sign of intelligence and knowledge is power, and you want to fucking grow. And you just put yourself in a position that you look like you're humble and you're ready to learn, because that is what you should be doing. You shouldn't be there like a know-it-all. You shouldn't come into anywhere with an ego or a chip on your shoulder. Nobody wants to encounter people like that. Nobody wants to work with people like that, or even really deal with family members like that. Nobody wants to deal with anybody who's like that. So
Uncle Ed won't shut up.
yeah, he knows everything. Yeah, we know. He's got all the answers.
Just ask him, he'll tell you.
Exactly. So I feel like, I don't know, it's just one of those things. Like if you really want a position somewhere, you want to get into a trade, or you want to get into anything that's different from what you've done. If you've only been a server, you want to be in an office. It doesn't matter what you want to do. You just be humble yourself, be open to learn, open to do something new, and to tell whoever you're applying to or talking to, I want to learn. I want to learn, and I want to be somewhere that I can learn and I can grow. And
hell yeah.
Humble.
All right. So enough of our talk of the trades and the job and everything. What do you do when the clock is punched for unwinding, other than, I would assume we've been in the cannabis industry, we partake.
That's an ebb and flow too.
No, but what do you do on your off time?
Well, let's see. When I was in Tennessee, I just discovered how much I really love shooting. So that's new. I can't stop thinking about that, but haven't done that since being back. Other than that, I've done a lot of, in California, I did a lot of fishing. I liked to surf. There was a lot that I don't do in Oregon, and I'm new here. So I don't do anything. Riveting stuff, let me tell you. My dog, Enzo, we do a lot. We play a lot of fetch.
If you follow her, you know Enzo. Just saying.
Yeah, he's a 1.5-year-old, 103-pound golden retriever, and he's got no brakes. He's all gas. He's no brakes. He'll plow through your shins. Like, he's like a lunatic. But he's great. Yeah, I'm still getting acquainted to where I am. Where I am in Oregon, I'm right on the beach. The area is called Beverly Beach. It's in Newport, Oregon. It's absolutely gorgeous. Everything looks like it's out of a calendar. I love it, but it's freezing and it's always raining. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm a wussy, man. I was at the beach in California for the last 5 years. I was, inland in like desert heat before that. So not used to the rain, not used to the cold. Adjusting still here, and I can't even tell you, I don't do a whole lot here. I really, when I want to like disconnect or do something fun, I spend time in the shop and I just do something for fun. If it was weather and temperature controlled, I would be out in the water. I would be in the ocean. Water is my favorite place to be. I love to fish.
Nice.
Love to get outdoors. I love to hike. I love to be with my dog. I love to take him anywhere I can go. So pretty standard stuff. Like to get outside as much as I can when the weather permits it. And here it's so damn cold.
Well, I think when weather permits it, you might have chose the wrong area, because there's a lot of rain.
I'll tell you,
and it's cold.
Tennessee, though.
But for me, I love the cold. I'm hating the fact that it's warming up. I like wood stoves. I like splitting wood. I like snow sports. It's just great beer drinking weather. Like, I don't like drinking beer when I'm hot. So
I won't argue that. That is true. But I used to love drinking beer at the river when it was like 100 degrees too. Just like a cold beer, and it's like hot, and it's like you're like sweltering and dying, and then it's cold.
I don't know. People may call me a wuss for this, but like at that point, I'm going for the glass of water. I'm just
that too.
And people who know me are like, "Did he really just say that?"
They're like, "Right, man. Okay." Good one.
I don't think I've ever seen him drink water.
Good one. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's cool. I've been to Tennessee, and Tennessee's absolutely gorgeous. I think if I was to live outside of, say, I migrated from Massachusetts up to Maine, um, again in search of that more outdoorsy, more rural feel. I guess sick of all the noise, to put it correctly.
Yeah.
But I guess if I was to do it over again, I would find myself in like South Carolina, North Carolina
Oh,
area,
yeah.
so not too far from Tennessee.
It's gorgeous
But
there.
I can't not live on the coast. I mean, I don't live on the coast, but like if I said, "Hey, I want to go to the beach," I'm there. And I'm
Yeah.
not a beach person. I like the ocean.
No, I
Like
thought
I
that
spent
for a long
7 years
time.
on
I
the,
mean, I've spent my whole life basically there, but
yeah,
the lakes in some of these states are pretty big, where I was like, all right, I could paddleboard on there and you get like some movement. It's not just a dead lake, but it's still not an ocean. I agree with you. I do agree with you. It's hard to think of leaving an ocean.
yeah, yeah. I mean, other than we get like jellyfish and stuff up there.
Ah,
which
dude,
kinda
I've been
sucks,
stung by jellyfish. Have you?
yeah, but not like the jellyfish that you guys got. You guys got like Portuguese man of war. We got these little.
I got
fuckers.
covered in those. Covered in them, I swear. And it's funny, it's ironic because I'm Portuguese. So I got and they got I was in Hawaii actually, and I got stung by those, and then in Huntington Beach in California I got stung by a regular jellyfish.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, but the Portuguese ones, oh, they're nasty. They're horrible.
Crazy stuff. So, well, this is the end of it. It's been a pleasure. I'm sure that we could pick another trade that you've worked in for the next podcast, because I think this is
There you go.
this is going to become something. But if anybody wanted to get to know more about scroll saws, more about I guess purchasing one, where to start, your paint techniques are crazy. There's nothing like somebody that can wield a rattle can is pretty good.
Thank you.
So trust me, I've spray bombed stuff in my life and nothing ever came out pretty. I'm like, I don't know how they do all this stuff. Like half the time the tips clog.
Look at the ribs.
Exactly.
I don't know.
So if you want to learn more about what Morgan does, where can they find you, Morgan?
On Instagram, Captain's Planks. You can also find me, captainsplanks.com. There's a little message request form there. There's a chat there, and all of that just kicks back to my email. And it directs you to all of my social media there too. So yeah. Awesome. Anybody who has questions on any of that, I mean, feel free to reach out. I sometimes take a week or so to get through message requests, but for the most part, I mean, I answer questions. I like to talk to people. I don't put out huge tutorials or anything crazy, but I'll always answer a question. So
sounds good. Well, thanks for being on the show.
Yeah,
this has been amazing.
Of course. Thank you for having me. It was nice to finally face-to-face meet you.
And as a special thanks to our loyal listeners, we're giving $10 off your next purchase of $60 or more at BRUNTworkwear.com. Use discount code BucketTalk10. That's BucketTalk10.